winning. I've outsmarted you on a number of levels. Beta. Well, actually, King's not. Beta.
That was a hot mess inside a dumpster fire, inside a train wreck.
Keep your mouth shut. I'm going to go in there and slap your face.
You know, we're going to rise like the phoenix. And
Get in my limousine. Ride on 85. Get in my Learjet. Woo!
Good afternoon, evening, or morning, Ashland Cup. Here you're with the Asterisk Inclusion Podcast. You got the king himself. We have a big podcast lined up for you guys. We have actually draft reviews from the epic weekend Dr. Drill had put on for us. Had a great time. Grandover was great. Golf was great. My shirt stayed on. All wins in my book. But I first wanted to just touch base with you guys. First, my co-host, Nate Gate, is actually traveling some more. He is a jet setter, trendsetter, and hopefully we'll be back on the pod sooner than later. But I know everyone has been clamoring to get the pod out and running for before the start of the season, and they want to know what the king thinks of their terrible drafts. I can't wait to dig into that a little bit. So before we jump into that, let me just give a shout out to Pennington Distilling Company out of Nashville, Tennessee. Excellent job, guys. Y'all are putting out the good juice, that's for sure. I think last week I mentioned about the 4-grain, the Davidson Reserve 4-grain, which is excellent. But overall, their menu is quite delicious. Get some Whisper Creek while you're out there. It's some excellent sipping cream, if I must say so. But let's just go ahead. Let's just jump right into it. The pod can't last forever, so we got some stuff we need to cover. Let's talk about these year's picks. Okay, let's start off with the first one. The man, the myth, the legend, Grizz. He was the first draft, first one up in the draft order. Let me just say this. I was actually pleasantly surprised with his first 3 picks. I know he got some hate from the great sleeper about picking a QB first, but hindsight's 2020. Was sleeper right? Yes, he kind of was, because there wasn't another QB taken all the way really up until the 4th round, honestly. That was Herbert. But at that time, Grizz didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, there could have been a run on QBs all through the 3rd, and he might have ended up with somebody like, I don't know, Baker Mayfield. That's a terrible pick. But so taking Josh Allen where he did, not the worst idea. And like I say, in hindsight, maybe he let Allen passes, and then he comes back around and he ends up with somebody. Maybe he ended up with Mahomes. Who knows? But I think he got his first 3 players. All 3 are potential top 5 at their respective positions. I would think I wanted Michael Pittman myself, actually, but didn't drop that far. You also got like some 3, I would say so running backs, and Jacobs, Montgomery, and Chase Edmonds. Edmonds might be the best out of those, and you got him in the 3rd. I will say I wasn't too crazy about his tight end position. Knox. Maybe could have pulled TJ Hawkinson a little bit early. We'll get into that later, because he was hanging around in the 9th round. But that's kind of, if your tight end is the weakest part of your draft, that's not terrible. And as I mentioned, I like Pittman, Schuster, Christian Kirk. Maybe one of them pops. Like he needs one of those guys to kind of like step up, take, or maybe it's Dobbs. Who knows? He just needs a second receiver, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't care who it is. But if he can get that, he's got a dangerous team, that's for sure. My draft grade for the illustrious Grizz, A minus. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to Nate Gate, actually. Normally we would tip our hats at each other's teams and move on, but since old Nate Gate's not here, let's dive into his draft and see what it looks like. We got his first two picks, Christian McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette. Kind of scary, but not in the way you might think. These two are very injury prone. Fournette had a good year last year, but didn't knock my socks off. And with all the turmoil with Tampa, I don't know how that's going to go. McCaffrey could be the number one back in the league if he's healthy. He hasn't done it in 2 years. Maybe third time's a charm. You got Kelsey, his top receivers, essentially. I'm kind of conflicted on that because yes, he got the number one tight end, but at the same time, it's just whenever you take tight ends that high, I just it just doesn't always work out. But he rallied. He got some Brandon Cooks. Allen Robinson could cut into Cooper Kupp's receptions, etc. Rashad Bateman could be the man. He's got Jalen Hurts. I mean, he's a fantasy QB. There's some things I like about his draft, and I think he's walking a tightrope though. My grade for old Nate Gate, I'm going to go with a solid B. That was off the cuff because I hadn't planned anything for that. So B. Moving on to Oracle. Looking at his draft, he started off with Cooper Kupp and then followed up with Nick Chubb. I don't hate those picks. I don't think they're bad picks. Especially Chubb where he was in the second round. Who's he going to take? I mean, he's probably the last decent running back. Maybe you could argue ETN, but that's a huge risk. I mean, Chubb, I think, is a little bit more reliable. Cooper Kupp, Sleeper had a good point. He reached the mountaintop last year. I don't think he's going to be repeating that again, but who knows? He's still the top fantasy receiver on paper preseason, so go for it. I like Mike Evans. That was a strong pick where he got him. Good value. Darren Waller, solid tight end. I think he's going to have a pretty good year this year. Joe Burrow, I like. I did not like the Antonio Gibson pick in the 5th. I think whatever the Washington football team Commanders or whatever they're calling themselves are trying to get away from Gibson as fast as possible. They might trot out a guy who got shot in a carjacking before. I have more faith in him than Gibson actually right now. That's a big hole going to running back for Oracle. He has Chubb, who's not bad, but there's a stark drop off. I mean, if you really look at it, he's got Gibson, Melvin Gordon, and Darrell Henderson. That's it. I mean, he's really got, four total running backs, and I don't trust any of them but Chubb. So that's a huge hit on him. His receivers are solid. Other than that, I mean, I just hate if he just had one more running back, it could really have improved his draft grade. I'm gonna go with C plus for Oracle. But strange things happen. It doesn't mean he's out of the running. It's just he's gonna have to scramble to find another running back or two or three. Let's hit up some LTD. Yeah. If it didn't work the first time, don't try to fix it. I mean, I think he's going with Eckler and Connor again, and why not just repeat it? But no, those are I love Eckler. I think he's going to have a good year this year. Very safe pick. Connor. Yeah, great year. I didn't like Connor last year, and I'm not sure I'm going to like him again. But Connor proved me wrong last year with touchdowns. I mean, he's very touchdown reliant. He doesn't get a lot of other catches and yards that he used to get. So, not crazy over that. I'm sure LTD is just throwing stuff at the pod right now. I actually what kind of kills me is the DK Metcalf pick in the 6th. I mean, maybe Seattle's got to throw somebody, I guess, but they're so bad at QB. I mean, I think I got a call last week to see if I could try out for them. I mean, they're so terrible. He did get great value at Hawkinson. I mentioned that earlier. Grizz should have jumped all over that, but LTD, getting Hawkinson in the 9th round. That's amazing. That's good stuff right there. I mean, Hawkinson was considered like a top 5 tight end in a lot of draft circles, and there he is. Overall, I mean, I kind of like where he's at. I mean, I love Dak. I was going to target Dak actually in my draft, and then things fell the way they fell. But I'm not in love with his receivers overall. So I'm going to give LTD a B minus here. B minus. Don't hate me, LTD. Tuna. I think he brought the 2020 Fantasy Mag with him by mistake. Should have grabbed the 2022 version. Henry and Hill was sexy back then, but not so much right now. I mean, Henry's got a bad leg, or not bad leg. He's healthy, but he's already had one injury, and he's a big back. I don't know if he'll be able to last the whole season. Hill, fantastic with Mahomes. I don't know if he's got the same type of energy or that charisma or that connection with Tua. We'll see. Tua definitely doesn't have the arm like Mahomes does, so we'll see. I actually like the other 2 receivers, and DJ and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think those are solid. Overall with Dalton Schultz, Aaron Rodgers, I know Rodgers isn't. I'm not expecting a huge fantasy season, but I don't think he'll be like a anchor either. Like he'll be he'll be a solid QB. I think also, Tune's second running back right now, is a little, I don't know, a little suspect, I'll say. J.K. Dobbins, it's a little iffy. He does have more running backs than Oracle, but I don't know if they're that much better. You know what? When I did this last night, I was going to give Tuna the solid B, but you know what? After talking about it, I have to drop him down to at least a B minus. Putting that in right now. Sorry, Tuna. B minus. now we get to the drill. There was some hype over Drill's draft at the end of the weekend. He came out firing with 2 receivers back to back, Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs. He also finished up with Brandon Hayek and George Pickens, all of which I love. I think he's got some strong receivers there. He's got Mahomes, another strong QB. And then, was it George? Then it starts getting a little sketchy here. And I'm not sure, he's definitely high on those levels, very high. But, when it comes to running back, Breece Hall might not even start, week 1. He definitely has the backup there, Michael Carter, or starter. It's one of those two. That's going to be a headache for him all year. They're there for the Jets. I mean, the Jets aren't. Are they going to be really fantasy darlings this year? I don't think so. I mean, his best running back right now is A.J. Dillon, which is the backup in Green Bay. I mean, that's, not that great. He does have some potential pieces in Algier and Davis Price. He's gonna have to I think he's still working on the running backs. That's really kind of iffy there. George Kittle, he loves Kittle. Gosh, Drill loves some Kittle. He must be sponsoring Kempter Holistic Dentistry somehow. But Kittle's hasn't, I think I'd have to go back and look, but I feel like Kittle had this one great year and just has never, but due to injuries or whatever, just hasn't reached that same level. I think overall, I mean, I'm going to give Drill a B, and because his highs are super high, like his receivers and QB, but and his lows have potential, but nothing's been proven yet. So I'm going to go with a B. He's dangerous, but he hasn't had exactly the best luck in the Ashland Cup, so I'm not holding my breath for him. Let's move on to old Magic here. Magic attended the first night of the draft, went back-to-back receivers also in Chase and Samuel. I was really hoping Chase was going to fall back to me, but that was kind of a pipe dream anyway. But Magic definitely squashed that. It has old Debo. And the second day, his brother-in-law steps in for him, old Nick. Huge Clemson fan, shows it in his draft with some ETN and Trevor Lawrence. But overall, I do like his receivers. I think, mentioned his first 2-round picks. I like Mooney. I think Thielen's still got some fantasy production left in him. Olave, if I'm pronouncing that right, Chris Olave, gosh, he has so much upside with the Saints. I think it's going to be huge for him. He kind of falls back into his running backs are a little, they're not great, but ETN could be big things for him this year. Cam Akers, I don't like. I just am not a huge Cam Akers fan. He hasn't done it yet. Why do I think he's gonna? It's not a fine wine. He doesn't improve with age. Cardriel Patterson, fantasy darling last year. Maybe the Falcons use him in the same way, and maybe if he has a similar season last year, that changes Magic's team dramatically. I'll say that. But I think one of his big weak spots is quarterback. I mean, Matt Ryan, Trevor Lawrence. Matt Ryan maybe has a resurgence with the Colts. I don't know. I think he'll be solid, but I don't think he'll put up his numbers like he did when he had Julio and Roddy White. Lawrence, maybe this is the year he breaks out, but it's still the Jags. But that kind of maybe him and Etienne connect with like a bunch of dump off passes, kind of like the old Philip Rivers, LaDainian and Thomason connection. Magic's like salivating at that thought, but and I'm sure you would take that all day, but that's kind of a long shot. I think for me though, I'm gonna give Magic a C plus here. I think his QB issues are a lot to overcome. His running backs don't excite me. And we'll see, see what happens. Now we get to Evil Gatos. Gatos here. Let's see. Cook and Jones, dangerous. Very dangerous out there. That might be that could be the best running back duo in the league. At least on paper right now, preseason. He also went Mark Andrews. I'm not crazy, as I said with Nate Gay, I'm not crazy about doing like your tight end as your tight end or top receiving threat, but it is what it is. Because the rest of his receivers kind of blow. Like AJ Brown, Gabriel Davis. I mean, give me a break. Drake London, rookie receiver for the Falcons, is number 3. Oh, come on. Just terrible all around. And then we get to Brady. Brady, for me, just does, I don't know. There's a lot of turmoil. I think Brady could be falling off a cliff this year. He's got marital issues. He's got issues. I mean, look at him. He's probably aged. He looks like he's 38 now. He was looking like 35 last year. I mean, I don't know. I'm just not really liking it. I think overall, he's got some. His running backs are strong, but overall, I'm just not like digging it too much. I'm gonna go with B- with Gatos. B-. Let's see. That brings us to Huza. Huza. Looking at his, man, I'm going to tell you right now, that hurt. Because it was actually a good draft. Believe it or not. Joe Mixon, I think he's kind of iffy for me, but like not in a horrible jump off the cliff way. I just, he had a solid year last year. Maybe with some better offensive linemen like they brought in, he'll take another step or whatever, improve. Javonte Williams, huge upside for me. I love it. I like his receivers, Keenan Allen, McLaurin. They're steady. They're not gonna lead the league, and they won't be in the top 5, but they could be top 10 receivers. I don't like a QB situation at all. Lamar Jackson has been regressing ever since he won the MVP. He's got Baker Mayfield. I know Nate Gate did not agree with me on this, but I'll say this again. I think for week 1 against Cleveland, I really would start Baker Mayfield over Lamar. That's a huge roll of the dice, but I would do it. He's got Godare. I'll say this. His first 7 picks, and keep in mind in the league, you only really need 3 or 4 guys to win this thing. You don't need more than that. I really like his first 7 picks, maybe not so much Lamar Jackson. So I guess 6 out of the first 7. That's still really good. He's got Tony Pollard. That he might, who knows, he might explode into the starting running back role over Zeke. I mean, Zeke's on the downward turn. My draft grade for Huza, and this hurts, pains me to say, B+. Second highest grade I've given out so far. Moving on to sleeper. Let me just say this. very painful. And then when we came out with news about Najee Harris's foot, the Loz Frank, or whatever Frank, injury, um, not good, not good at all. And everybody knows Steelers backup still out there. He's hanging. It's going to be a race to get that guy. So that's very iffy for Harris. Kamara, you know what? I actually do like this pick. I'm kind of thinking that I might have should have taken Kamara instead of Swift, but I'm still okay with that. Other than that, I mean, looking at his receivers like T. Higgins, Godwin, I mean, those don't move the needle for me, man. They do not. I like Kyle Pitts, but he's still with the Falcons and he's got garbage throwing him the ball. I'm not a fan of Kyler Murray or Trey Lance, but they have huge upside. But has sleepers luck ran out? I don't know. Overall, I'm just not loving this draft, and I'm sure I'm going to get the wrath of sleeper for this, but I'm going C minus. That's brutal, I know. Now moving on to the defending champion, a little first and goal. I'm gonna say that he had snaked me on several picks. I'm kind of glad he did, because I'm looking back over this. There's some like Brian Robinson. I was looking at him, got snaked, and Robinson's well, we all know that story. Oracle people are still on the search for Oracle on that one. He started off with Devontae Adams. I wanted Devontae. But you know what? I'm okay with letting that one goes by. That's not the worst. Well, then he also got Saquon Barkley. He didn't snake me on that. I thought that was a little high. Elijah Mitchell, I'm just wary of, like, 49er running backs in general. They just rotate them so much. They're a dime a dozen there. Baker's dozen. Cortland Sutton, I was, it was a solid pick, but I kind of like the other receiver there, Jerry Jeudy, a little bit more. I'm looking through this draft. Russell Wilson, he's never been like this fantasy monster. I mean, I think he's been solid and steady as long as you have like other people carrying the load of your team. But I don't think he's going to be the one to step up. But he did stack it with Sutton, so that's definitely a smart move. I think overall, I'm just not like in love with first team. I don't see him repeating. I'm sorry to say. I'm going with B minus right here. B minus. Yeah. Then we get to the King himself, and everything was perfect. I mean, look. I mean, you got Swift. You got Lamb, who probably will be a stud, and Mike Williams, Herbert stack. I mean, that's just gonna be. I'm gonna use 70 points a week in, week out from those two. I mean, I figure I'll probably average around 200 this season. Take the crown for the third time. And just dominate. I won't go too into that because I'll just be roster baiting for the rest of the time, and y'all don't want to hear that. But I will make some season predictions right now, actually. Winner, a lot of people have been feeling a new person coming on to win the crown for the first time, and that's who my prediction is. And if you followed some of this, you would probably guess that I have Grizz taking his first Ashland Cup title. I think is he's got a solid team, and like I say, you only need 3 or 4 guys to win it, and his three that Jonathan Taylor, Josh Allen, Michael Pittman. I think those are solid, and I think he's got some other pieces in running back that will pop, that could pop. Give him that fourth. Yeah, I mean he's got a lot of upside players after that. Those three, I think that's the way you do it, and I think he'll, as long as his in season management's solid, he'll be okay. Last place, buying the ring. I'm looking at Tuna. I know he didn't get my lowest draft grade, but that's also because I think Sleeper's gonna pray to the devil and pull something out of his butt for that, and not end up in last place. He might end up contending for some weird reason. But Tuna, I just feel like his team is just on shaky ground overall. It doesn't mean like it's guaranteed, but I'm just kind of playing the odds that something's going to fall, like King Henry going down, Hill just not having that same, long ball, dominance with Tua, stuff like that. And as I just mentioned, my surprise team this year, Sleeper. I don't know what he does, what God he prays to or anything, but his team does not look good on paper. And yet he will have like every single guy in the top 5 of their respective positions. It'll be ridiculous. Trey Lance will be MVP this year, stuff like that. It happens. But yeah, that's kind of the draft. We had a great time. Again, thank you, Drill, for putting that all together. I certainly enjoyed myself, and looking forward to the next year. Yeah, we'll have a blast, and I will say I had a great time. Again, the food was amazing. Grand Over's great. Guys, looking forward to next year's draft already. Well, I'll sign off here, and don't forget, when Nate Gate and I are here, we're right and you're wrong. Thank you. Have a good one.